Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of the Lachimolala Diaries. Somehow we lasted 6 weeks of this. So thank you for joining us again, our loyal 63 subscribers. We love you. Mwah. Over to you, Chef, to introduce our topic and our amazing guest.
Thanks, Shoots. Hi, everyone. Me again. Today, we're going to be discussing the parallels between some of the socio-cultural aspects between Indian society and the stuff that we see in Korean dramas, which is perhaps one of the reasons that a lot of us find so much relatability with Korean dramas. And this topic came to us via our guest for the day, and I thought it was something that I was totally on board. We were totally on board with, and wanted to sort of talk about. And so our guest for this podcast is Kiran Manral. She's a published author and quite prominent on Twitter, which is where I discovered that she's gotten into K dramas as well, and I was really thrilled to know that. She's published over 12 books across various genres, and yes. And meanwhile, I would really like to know, Kiran, what is your story behind getting into Korean dramas? How did you get into it?
Thanks so much, Shefali, Shruti, for inviting me on this. And my journey into Korean dramas began quite happenstance. I think it was the lockdown. It was me watching Schitt's Creek and then going through acute depression because it was over. Somebody suggested Convenience, which I enjoyed. And I got curious because, they said Amma and Appa. And I said, Amma and Appa? Like, hello, that's us. And somebody said, they call their parents that. All the Korean dramas have it. So I said, okay, what should I watch? And somebody said, watch Something in the Rain. That was it. I fell through the rabbit hole and I haven't emerged
That's a very
since.
good first K drama to begin with. Like your bar
Yeah,
was already so high.
So high.
yeah.
Yeah, wow. Here we started with Boys Over Flowers. Trash.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Lesser we speak about that, the better. But I think that's why all the more when you mentioned the topic, Kiran, it was just something that kind of hit the right note because we had that journey where we had seen so many of these the stereotypes and the cultural prejudices that these guys portray, and how towards the the latter part of the last decade these things started to get better, and the way they were dealing with them or showcasing them, it just felt liberating finally. And I guess that's some of the examples that we are going to be talking about today through our segments are going to be such examples which are aspirational, and would want more more content to deal with these topics in
Yeah.
perhaps that manner. And yeah, okay, so I will actually start with the segments right away. And the first one that I think we'd want to discuss is an example or an anecdote from any drama where you feel that issues to do with sexism or late marriage, divorce or misogyny, any of these aspects have sort of been dealt with in a sensitive manner and in a progressive manner.
I Sexism seems to be something that I think most of the K dramas are addressing head on. Uh, Even a popular drama like Crash Landing on You has the fact that she's Seri is the daughter, and when her father names her the heir to his empire, there is so much resistance from everyone because it's not accepted that the daughter could inherit the empire. And he, of course, the father is this major chaebol. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, he's
Boy.
this major head.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Hey boy.
Chaebol.
I think hey
Okay.
boy. Yeah.
Chaebol. Okay. So he's this major head, and when he says that he wants his daughter to take over, and she's also there is backstory to it, like in the sense of her being, the stepdaughter. I couldn't exactly figure out how she fitted into the whole equation. But that was a big thing for me that, this exists there too, even if she's capable and she is worth it. And then Pretty Nuna, who gives me food or something in the rain as we know it, the fact that an older woman and a younger man have a relationship is the primary crux on which this uh, entire series is hinged. And that's a taboo there. That's taboo we deal with here too. I think that's a taboo everywhere. This sexism that the woman cannot be older than the man, and also the fact that if he was almost like her brother, therefore, how could she fall in love with him? And that's something they constantly grappled with. There is a lot I see in another series like Misty. She's a television anchor who's very capable, but she knows she's not going to get the top role because there is sexism. The glass ceiling is very strong, and she's has to do all she can to fight and prove herself and to get to the top. And it involves a lot of battles with the boss, whom she's very fond of, and that was another thing I thought was. I mean, just today I read in the papers about how barely 6 of 250 CEOs of the top companies in India are women, of which half are from business families themselves. So the gender divide is real and present everywhere, and it's also there. Uh, there's also this implicit derisiveness towards women of a certain age in Korean dramas. If you're older and you're not married, we see that in Something in the Rain, we see that in Misty. They're constantly being rebuked for being older. There is this emphasis on her, in Misty. She's a career woman. She's very popular. The whole country knows her, but she's still not wife enough because she hasn't given birth. She hasn't had a child, and she's her mother-in-law comes every month with a medicinal potion to give her in order to help her to conceive, and she very obediently and very deferentially takes it and then pours it down the drain. So when the mother-in-law goes away, so there is that, those expectations are there. These expectations are something that we all have grappled with. I mean, I didn't have my baby for around 8 years, while my mother-in-law was very sweet about it, and I had medical issues. Uh, but I see it all around, the kind of pressure that women have to, procreate all the time. No matter how successful you are, no matter how wonderfully you're doing at your work, if you don't haven't had your child, you're not really complete. So these are the instances that stand out in my head. Um, what else?
Any of these where you felt that you were redeemed finally, with the way it kind of the
Panned
arc
out?
went to, yeah.
Yeah, I think Something in the Rain, definitely, because while the end was the nice, happy closure and they got each other, and there was a happily ever after. I found the part where she stands up to her parents, and she also stands up to the man, and she says like, I can be on my own. It's okay. I don't want all this mess. I just want to get away from all that. I thought that was very incredibly brave. And I would have ideally ended the show there. You know, for me, like the unhappy ending is what will stick in your head. The happy endings, when the Cinderella gets her Prince Charming at the end, is kind of very trite. But that part of me, that part of the show was very satisfying for me, because she was like, okay, I'm old and I'm past it, and they're not going to let me be with this man whom I want to be. So damn it all, I just want to be on my own.
Yeah.
So I think I really like that bit of it.
I remember we discussed this in the Junghain episode as well, which was our second podcast. And I said the exact same thing about how she takes agency, and she tells him also how he was also wrong in so many parts. A personal favorite scene. Shoots, what about you? Any instances from any of the dramas that were first problematic on these lines, but then redeemed themselves?
Yeah. So I do want to point out before I start giving specific examples from K dramas that this whole topic I'm kind of um, I fully don't agree with the topic, because I feel like a lot of the four segments that we are going to be discussing, they were not redeemed in my eyes, and I felt like they were not dealt with nicely. Like I somehow end up remembering only the negative parts, and maybe I don't have enough real life examples to relate with, I guess. But only the negative parts kind of stuck with me, and I only remember the angry parts that made me really angry. So I'm only going to give those examples. I'm sorry, Kiran. Sorry, Chef. But going back to the first segment, right, the sexism, the gender-related issues. I have one good example from this show, because this is my first life. In that, the character Suji, she was the the male, the man in the relationship, and she was like, a very hardworking corporate woman, and she just stood up to her extremely misogynistic bosses. She didn't wear a bra at work. Like, she had the guts to do that, right? So she was very bold, and she had a very show them who's the boss kind of attitude. So that really kind of stuck out to me. So that's how it was. That's how that gender related issue was kind of redeemed in my eyes. And yeah, I think that's the only one example I can think of. All the other examples, all the other shows, it just made like all the gender related issues really angered me. The recent show that I'm currently watching right now is Missing. And in that, like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start with the gender related issues in that show. They make me super angry. So I'm just going to leave it there. I'll let you take over, Chef.
No, no, it's you can't. Nobody can fault you on that, and that's why I started off by saying that when we started watching K dramas, a lot of the triggers happened because we were seeing these in real life, and
Yeah.
even the real life was not showing us any resolution to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think at least in the last 1 or 2 years, there have been a lot of dramas that have come
The
that
newer
have
ones. Yeah.
been satisfying to watch in the sense that they don't normalize the those problematic stereotypes, and they actually normalize talking about how wrong those stereotypes are or
Yeah.
those prejudices are. So I'm just going to give one such example for this segment, which is from my personal favorite show, Dear My Friends, which I was telling Kiran and I keep telling Shruti, it's my life's mission to make sure everybody in this world watches that show. So it's about this particular character. She's one of the friends from the show, and the show is about women in their 60s, and they've been friends since childhood. And this lady, she's married to somebody who is quote unquote an MCP, and you see such casual sexism and misogyny in her household, and she's okay with it. But there comes a point in her life after very long when she just explodes, and then after that, she does not give a damn. She decides after 30 to 35 years of their marriage that I am going to divorce this guy. And the guy is just, he is in denial and he is just completely ignorant because he thinks, what will she do without me? But she leaves him. She gets a house, somewhere in another part of the city, and she just wants to sleep peacefully, she just wants to chill. And how they show her sort of wanting to live for herself at the age of 60. The whole my life has begun now, and I'm so what, I've wasted so many years, I'm going to live it to the fullest now, go on drives with my girls, and go on picnics with my gal pals. And the husband eventually comes around, realizes all the mistakes he's made. Again, like you were saying about Something in the Rain and where it should have ended, this could have just ended with her taking that decision and wanting to just live for herself. But they also show the other guy's arc, saying that it made him realize she's a human, and made him see her as a human, as a life partner, value her. So I think it was good for that character that it had that, the male character, that it also had this evolution. But for me, I think what was liberating was watching her sort of, take her life, the reins of her life in her own hands and say, fuck you all, I'm going to live. So that going from a very sexist marriage to having a marriage with yourself and loving yourself was a treat for me. Next up, I want to discuss body shaming and the kind of unrealistic beauty standards that again are very similar in the Indian culture, and very kind of out there in the Korean culture.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the examples that stick out for you, and again, if there is something that has been redeemed, would love to know. We'll start with you, Kiran.
I can't think of anything that has been redeemed, but I can think of something that, some examples that I felt were really in your face. For example, um, in Misty, they're constantly talking about her aging and her face being old compared to the other anchor who was young and fresh as a dew, uh, whatever. And she looked perfectly fine to me. She looked gorgeous to me, the lead actress.
Yeah,
And I was
all
like,
those
what?
people do.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the
don't
amount
get
of
it.
work that goes into making them gorgeous
Of course.
aside, but there was nothing I could see that was, that merited those constant barbs. So it was just age related. It wasn't appearance related. So it
Yeah.
was just assumed that if you're of a certain age, you are off the shelf. And then she herself was taunting another woman who was a co-anchor about her having put on weight when that woman was perfectly normally shaped. No, so that unrealistic expectations that you need to be stick thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that that was a dissonance. And also I think when Seri came back from her stint in North Korea after not being not having her scented candles for bath and all her serums vagera vagera, the sister-in-law tells her like, your skin is looking terrible, I'll get you an appointment with my domat and he'll work wonders. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hello, this is accepted, get an appointment for a domat. Don't be
Yeah.
relieved that she's alive, she's well,
She
she's like
literally just came from North Korea. Give
I
her a
yeah,
mean,
break.
right?
yeah. And there's
Priorities.
I
yeah,
know.
hands and legs are fine, and no torture has happened,
She's
nothing.
alive. I know.
Because, yeah, you're like, let me get you to my dermat and like priorities. But no, there has been no redemption in terms of, the
Yeah.
image issues and constantly there's this, I forget which show it was on, that I shouldn't have eaten, I think it was Something in the Rain. I shouldn't have eaten this because now I'll bloat up tomorrow.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
constant watching and they're
Constant.
Very
constantly
melodramatic.
eating, but this constant thing about, they're watching what they eat.
Yeah.
Even if they're drinking, they're aware that the face is, going to puff up or whatever. So appearance is like huge. I mean, I know that appearance is huge in Korea, but it really comes true in most of these serials. You can make out. It's a huge
Yeah.
thing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just adding to what Kiran said, right? Yeah, there's no redeeming when it comes to this body shaming and just body issues and body expectation, right? So I'll just quote two examples. These two shows were literally made on the beauty standards and how women can do everything and anything to reach the ideal beauty standard. So the first show is I'm going to talk about is Oh My Venus. I'm not sure if you've seen that show. So Shinmina, they made Shinmina just look a little bit chubbier than she normally is. Like clearly she's wearing a fat suit, but even with that fat suit, like I don't know where do you set the bar. That fat suit is so not fat. It's still she's looking like a normal
Normal
woman.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
normal woman in her 30s. And like she'll go to work and her colleagues are just like looking at her top to bottom and just judging her and like, wow, you really like casually her colleagues are like, you really need to do so, just saying stuff like, you would look so beautiful if you lost some weight, right? Like stuff like that was just so normally said to her all her life. So she started working out. I think she joined some like gym program or something to lose weight. And the guy Soji Sub, the lead actor, her trainer, obviously they end up falling in love with each other. But he did train her to lose weight, and then she ultimately lost weight to get revenge on her ex who dumped her. And that was the whole premise of the show, right? But again, it wasn't redeemed. Like they made her look pretty once she lost weight, so it was very problematic, but it was just, again, it's freaking Shin Mina. She will look amazing even if she goes bald, man. Like she looked great even then. So yeah, that's one show. And then the other show is My ID is Gangnam Beauty. Usme she got like full plastic surgery, everything done to be beautiful because she was bullied all her life as a um, uh, teenager or whatever, and she changed schools and everything. And again, that show made me so sad because once she became a different person, she was accepted. She started like friends. She started making friends. Boys started noticing her, and it just gave so many wrong ideas to kids growing up like that age, right? Girls that age. But again, it was supposed to be a positive, um, like a positive show. Towards the end, they try to show like looks and everything isn't everything. But then again, if you think about it, if it wasn't everything to begin with, why did you change, right? Like you are now happy. Were you happy back then? If you said all these things back then it would be believable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to bring up these two shows.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
basically getting 100 on 100 and saying marks don't matter.
Huh, exactly.
Ah.
It's like Jeff Bezos saying money is not everything. Yeah.
Like those horrible people who get like 90 something in English and then they say, I lost 1 mark because I was on my mobile phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, kya hai? But which
Wow.
also reminds me, sorry to butt in, of this show, She Was Pretty, which I've seen a bit and not the whole thing. I
Oh,
don't know
that
if
was actually,
you've.
yeah,
That was my
exactly.
answer, but go on.
Oh, okay, go on, go on. You
No,
take
no,
that,
no. Let's
Shefali.
see what you have to say. Let's see what you
Yeah.
have to say. What
I
if I
haven't
have
watched the
something to
whole
say?
thing. I've just watched 1 episode so far. She Was Pretty and Weightlifting Fairy.
Ah, yes. We actually thought of that
So
too.
in these two shows, these girls are like absolutely fine. I mean, She
Mhm.
Was Pretty. You can make out she's being made to look not groomed because her hair is frizzy. All that can be dealt with. It's not a big deal in a hyper aesthetic society like Korea.
Yeah.
So and even in weightlifting fairy, she's very pretty. Her face is very pretty, and she's supposed to be chubby. She doesn't look chubby. She looks fine to me. Uh,
Where?
but such a big hue and cry about them being not attractive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you wonder. I mean, the entire premise of the show, weightlifting fairy, of course, her
Yeah.
weightlifting vagera, but not being attractive because she's a weightlifter when she's obviously, you can
She's
see
not
that she's
feminine
very
enough. Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
fine when you look at her.
Like it
And
really makes me think that the standard there is you have to look like an idol, a K-pop, idol.
Yeah.
That's the only way you are the best, perfect. And
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. So yeah, so we struggled a lot to find anything that is worth worthy of being labeled as redemption in this particular area, and then Shruti and I were talking about this last night, my last night, her morning, uh, and she said, you could talk about She Was Pretty because it's something that you may relate to. So again, a quick background there. So I was talking to her about how I have had naturally curly hair and how I got them rebonded 6 times, like in 6 years. Some 5 years ago, I used to do that, and because I was called names growing up, by boys and girls, and kids can be really cruel in that age group, and that is it's kind of the thing now, right? That you have somebody with curly hair, that person is like villainous, and you have that kind of a thing. If it is a makeover, it has to be like, if you have curly hair, the makeover means you'll get straight hair after that,
Yeah.
and which means that there is something wrong with the curls. And there was a tweet on these lines, and somebody had put a picture of Anne Hathaway from Princess Diaries, before makeover when she has curly hair, and then after makeover when she's like straight hair. And I was telling her how problematic that is, because I literally had to do that because of that narrative, that if you want to change your life for the better, you have to straighten your curls. And it took me a while to sort of go back to loving myself as I was, the natural curls. And I know so many people who still don't have that. And She Was Pretty, towards the end, you see that when this girl starts to love herself, you will get there. So I'm sorry, this is a spoiler for you, but she also goes through this entire cycle of going through a makeover, going to a salon, and telling the lady at the salon, make me look pretty and stuff. And she obviously gets her curls straightened. So there's a big part of the show where she has straight hair, but then towards the end, when she starts to love herself the way she is, embrace herself, and be okay in her skin, she's back to her curls. And I would have missed it if not for Shruti and I having that conversation about something totally different. And so she pointed it out to me, saying, "You might relate to that part." So now, thankfully, we have one tiny like needle in a haystack, which shows you some ray of redemption. But it is huge for a Korean drama also to show that, because you see very few women who will only do curls, like very slight, thin curls just for ornamentation in a few
Yeah.
dramas. Otherwise, for them, that is also a part of their standard beauty type. You need to have like, straight, shiny hair. So seeing her going back to her curls after everything is fine, that just felt like, okay, finally, thankfully, having curly hair is not deemed as you having some sort of a problem with your physical appearance. So yeah, we have some redemption at the end of this tunnel. Hopefully there'll be more in the dramas to come. Let's now talk about some of the general socio-cultural sort of prejudices that they have to do with, say, homophobia, patriarchy, or the age-related superiority, which is so commonplace in their dramas. Anything that sticks out for you, Kiran, and something that you thought was redeemed also?
Redemption. Shruti is laughing.
Let's just get the first part over, then we'll deal with the redemption, I guess.
So, homophobia, I found it very, very sweet and very telling when in her private life, Ryan Gold is trying to protect uh, both of the ladies because he thinks that they are in a in a lesbian relationship and, they don't want to be found out. That made me understand that perhaps there is quite a lot of stigma against homosexuality in the country, even for whatever reasons. So I found that interesting. I believe Itaewon Class has characters which are in that, and I haven't watched it yet. I plan to. So I'll be interested in seeing how they tackle it. So I don't know about that, but patriarchy and age-related superiority, you see it with the parents all the time. In my limited viewing, I've seen how children are deferential to their parents, even if their parents are, even at times, physically abusive with them, with grown children. The parents are coming and whacking them left, right, and center, and
Yeah.
they just cow down. So that sort of is a jolt to me because that's not something that I have not grown up with that. I know it's common in some households, but no, it's not done. And the fact that parents still have control over their adult children's lives, for me it was shocking that in a series like Something in the Rain, the mother could have such control over her daughter, adult, very grown up adult daughter's decisions of about where to get married and even whether she could or she could not have a sex life. I mean, come on, that was too much interference, I think, for
Yeah.
that grown up daughter.
We
Um,
have a new expansion for the TMI acronym, too much interference.
Too much interference. I mean,
TMI in
hello.
Korean
Love
dramas is
it.
that.
I love this.
I mean, going and standing outside the guy's house to check
Yeah.
if
Oh
your
my
daughter's
God.
inside, that was so
So cringe.
cringy.
Like, yeah. Ew. Yeah.
Horrible, horrible. But I suppose that's how it is there. And maybe she thought she was doing good. In fact, when I saw the same actress in the other serial, One Spring Night, I was like, okay, abhi rang dikhayegi, abhi rang dikhayegi. She can't be so good. She was so nasty in the previous one. And now she's bound to do something. She's bound to.
That actress has
So
just like
cute.
gone. She's just the worst. Like I don't think she can ever redeem herself. जितनी भी उसने कोई भी अच्छी मूवी कर दी हो, like that one character has ruined
She
her.
was so sweet in One Spring Night, yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe she was sweet for the entire
Yeah, आप कुछ
I think the
करेंगी.
timing, because it came one after the other, no?
the
So it
other.
was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the suspicion.
yeah.
So that I think sort of really disturbed me. My viewing has been limited, and also that in Misty, I found it very disturbing that the mother is waiting on the day she ovulates with the little cup of whatever their version of kada to drink. Like that is also TMI.
Wow.
You
I want to
can't
see
be.
this show.
I know I haven't watched Misty. I'll
I
check
have
Oh,
it.
to
it's a
like you.
fabulous show. It's a
I think
fabulous
you
show. Yeah.
sold that show to us. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the thing we're going to watch
Misty.
after this.
I have to
It
check this
hasn't
out.
been watched enough, but I think it is fabulous. It's about this woman, very driven professional woman in the newsroom, and all the blocks she encounters. There, you have age-related patriarchy. People thinking that she's too old and a woman and not ready to take the top role. So that's another thing that happens there. I think these are the ones that stand out for me.
Okay,
Shoots.
I will go with Strong Woman to Bongsu. In that, the leader, Park Young Shik, actually, he took it in a positive way because there were rumors that he was gay. And yeah, he totally nailed his gay rumors, and he took it like, he took it for to his advantage, and he played it off. He said something like, "Oh, I'm using it as what, buzz marketing or something, right?
Yeah.
Or
Buzz
buzz
marketing
marketing." And
tactic.
yeah, it totally worked out for him, and he was fine with it. So I was like, wow, one male character who is not ashamed of being gay when he's actually straight. So that was like one redeeming um, part of K drama, which really shocked me. So I really like that example. And the other example I want to talk about is again missing. Right now watching that show. I'm almost done. In that, again, where do I begin with the age related superiority? Yeah, there are three teams, and all the bosses in those teams just expect their juniors and the new trainees, the new hirees, to just obey what the boss is saying blindly, because I'm older than you, I have more experience, and your opinion doesn't matter. So just yeah, all of them. And I still haven't finished the show. I hope there is a happy ending to that, but till now it's yeah, it's
We'll see. We'll see.
yeah. Chef, go ahead.
So I want to take this opportunity to appreciate Park Min Young's character's father in Healer. Because of all the shows that I've watched, I think there have been some decent fathers. So I'm gonna, talk about patriarchy here, and he's the father, like patriarchal goals, if any, in the way that he's sensible, he's sensitive, and he's not sexist. The daughter kind of, I mean, they literally French kiss each other in front of the father, and he has rolled eyes and everything, but he's just like he's a good guy, like he's a good dad. He's dad goals.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that a Korean drama from that time, because this is not a new show, Healer, from that time also sketched a character like that in a very patriarchal world. So kudos to the writers and that team. We need more of that. With that, we are on to our last segment, which is the one thing that we find in a lot of K dramas, which mirrors our obsession with all things American. Anything that you've spotted, Kiran?
About American, but I find their the fear of English very fascinating. So the fear and the respect and awe for anybody who can speak English. It's
Yeah.
quite interesting. In Crash Landing of You, there's a character Alberto Gu who's supposed to be raised in England. He speaks the most atrocious English, but it's like his passport to getting out of all kinds of sticky situations. So I found
Yeah.
that really cute. And in Startup, there is this chappie who comes from San Francisco, and he's this big tech
Yeah.
uh, guy, and everyone's like kowtowing to him because he is living in Silicon Valley, and everyone
His
has
English
some
was actually
relative
not
who
bad. His English
his
was actually
English was
not
not
bad. Yeah.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean the whole memories of Alhambra is set in Spain,
Spain.
but Spain, Portugal, Spain. Yeah,
Spain.
and
Spain, yeah.
yeah, there's not too much fascination with the Western culture there, but I think it's an ode to living abroad, and even Switzerland and Crash Landing for You, for instance, it's like an escape destination. It's like the utopia. So I think they like to showcase little bits and pieces of the West in their shows in
Yeah.
whatever way. Oh, a very funny instance. I'm sorry. In Crash Landing for You, the lady, the owner of the departmental store, I loved.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Who
yeah.
was
it's
trying
very
to
good.
sell those bras
No, no,
The
and
the
send it
one,
South
in?
Korea.
no, the departmental store in North Korea, the
Yeah.
mother of the fiance, Yunbin's fiance,
Oh,
Ah,
yeah, yeah,
she's
yeah.
trying to talk in English. She's trying to
yeah,
get a face done up in English. She's trying to tell everybody that this is the latest Western trend.
yeah,
She
yeah.
was obsessed with the West, and she was
True,
obsessed
true.
with, showcasing these things.
Yeah.
And she was a
Yeah.
delightful character.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
like, Yash Raj doing shooting in Switzerland.
Switzerland
So
type.
it's a little bit of that. Shoots,
Yeah.
what about you?
I'll bring up just this general, because this is like a standard K drama example. Iced Americano. Like all
Yeah.
of them are obsessed with iced Americanos for what I don't understand. I actually had iced Americano 3 weeks ago just to see what the fuck is going on with that. And it's the most ridiculous drink I've ever had. It's just there's no taste, and it's so blah. So yeah, just all K dramas being obsessed with iced
You're going to
americano.
get so much hate from iced
I
Americano
know.
enthusiasts.
Oh my God. Sorry, coffee enthusiasts. The other example I want to give is in Search www. They, just like most of the characters having English names like Tammy and Scarlett and whatever. I'm not sure what the reasoning was, but I think they were just trying to get like easier sounding names, or
Or
what it was.
professional. They wanted to be
Professional,
professional,
yeah.
and
But that
yeah.
just shows that their own Korean names are not professional enough, right? So that's just it.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me either.
Yeah,
But
it
it was
didn't make sense.
easier because then we could remember the names. Like I
Yeah,
actually remember Scarlett and Temmie. I mean, I remember Temmie as well.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
some of these things are cute. I think we are now getting over it, so which is why we are able to see it. But we have
yeah.
seen it in so many of our lives and then our movies. I'm just going to point out some bits from My Dal Chawal, as I call it, Inheritors/Heirs, a show that I've seen all over 50 times. And you have the lead character, female character, Park Shin Hye's obsession with all things American. Like, I want to do this because it sounds very American. I want
Yeah.
to have pancakes in maple syrup because it sounds very American. Gives you that American feel. I think that's very cute. And I mean, I have done that, right? When I went to Seoul, I wanted to do a lot of things that were very K drama esque. So
So
I guess it's
I
cute.
get it.
It's
Yeah,
relatable, and it's enduring, and yeah, good stuff. Good light stuff.
yeah,
So that brings us to the end of this podcast, and always a pleasure discussing the dramas that we have liked, and finding out that somebody else also kind of connected with the same moment that we did, and finding out newer acronyms or newer meanings for acronyms like TMI. I think
TMI.
we're
That was
using that
amazing.
next time.
Gold.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming here today, Kiran. Really glad that we could have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
inviting me. My pleasure completely. And I had a great time. I wish that I had more examples, but my viewing has been limited. But whatever it
Next time.
is,
Next time.
next time.
Next time. Next time. Thank you so much, guys. And again, like, follow, share, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what other topics we should discuss. And again, if you want to be on one of these episodes, feel free to write to us. All details below. Bye.